Hi guys, welcome back to the next part of the series, and this is a very cool video to show you, because we're going to be talking about stylization. Now, if you guys remember, this is our main concept right here, and we've been doing a good job into capturing like the essence, the proper forms, anatomy, and everything. But we're missing the stylization, right? So this to me still looks very realistic, of course really big, but very realistic proportion-wise and stuff like that. And in the last video I was mentioning how it's important to do like meetings and works in progress and things like that. In our case as artists, when we're working on a portfolio piece and where we're learning, it's important to try to ask at least our friends for some advice on how they see things. If we always think that we have all of the answers, we're gonna have a very big disappointment once we're in the big world. So I asked one of my friends, his name is Eduardo Dominguez, he's a concept artist, and I told him, hey, this is what I got, this is the reference, what do you see, what am I missing? And he's like, oh, you're missing quite a bit. And he gave me this. It's like, oh, now I see what you mean. So he's like, yeah, so you got this very like stylized character, you really need to push the forms. And he did this amazing paint over for me. Now I know you might not have a concept artist to ask, we might not be able to ask the main concept artist, so what can we do in those cases? Well, of course, as you guys know, or as most of you guys know, we do have some support channels where you can ask me for advice, and I'll be happy to do that for you. But if you don't have that, just going online and letting or asking people for that sort of information is going to be a huge thing for you. So the first thing I noticed is the head is way too small, but we got so many things in the head, so it's a lot easier if we go to the body and we scale the body a little bit. So I'm going to turn off Sculptures Pro real quick. There we go. And then on the body, I'm just going to scale the body up a little bit and adjust it accordingly. By moving or making the body a little bit bigger, of course, the head is going to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go, I would say something like that. That to me looks a little bit closer. Then the next thing that I see is that the forearms, this guy's right here, are a lot more like exaggerated. So we're going to exaggerate this a lot more. We're going to exaggerate the silhouette. I'm going to exaggerate the bicep a little bit. And you can even see how the whole like tricep or the deltoid is also exaggerated a little bit. Now, he did exaggerate the chest quite a bit. I'm not sure if I want to exaggerate it too much, but I am going to push it a little bit like forward like that. And also on the front view, I'm going to push the whole abdomen a little bit towards the front. It's very important to have this guy right here as well to make sure that we are like matching everything as close as possible. I do feel like we're missing a little bit of neck, so I'm gonna move the head or the whole body down a little bit so we get just a tad bit more neck there for the character. Now I am still gonna push. You can see this bump right there. It's a very cool bump. It's not very realistic because that's not how it usually works on the body, but yeah, but I'm gonna push it out a little bit there on my character. And you can see again on this picture right here that we're seeing this bump right there. That's the tricep actually. My bad. Let me go back. So it's the tricep that we want to like exaggerate a little bit more so we can start seeing the tricep from the front of the character. So this part is where a little bit more artistic knowledge is important, and I know that if this is the first time you're using ZBrush, it might be a little bit complex to grasp all of these concepts, but try to follow along and copy this. You're of course going to have the subtools, even the previous subtools, like I'm going to leave at least a couple of subtools from previous chapters so that you can compare, and we can get an even better result. So yeah, that's it. He does seem to have a little bit more inflated biceps right here. Not gonna, again, I don't want to like overdo it because we're still missing the armor, and that's gonna like bulk up our character quite a bit. But I'm just gonna do it a little bit. And of course, as we start adding all of the details and all of the polishing for the rest of the elements, this is also gonna change. Now the legs, even though we're not seeing the legs because they're gonna be covered by the pants, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be like modifying them a little bit so that when we do add the pants, things look a little bit more intense. One thing that I did notice were the wrists. So look at how thin the wrists are compared to ours. So I'm gonna push this out and push the wrist in. That's gonna give me a very nice room for the whole armor. And again, it's gonna like push the stylization quite a bit. I'm gonna use Stream Dynamic here, and there we go. In the next couple of chapters, we're gonna be talking about the hands and the feet. So don't worry about those just yet. But it's important that we try to match everything else right now, because this is the important part, guys. Remember, all of the things that we did, like what we did with the skull in the first chapter, all of these elements that we're doing right now are going to be useful for the detail pass and the polish pass. So if we don't have the proper forms and the proper proportions, then this is not going to be possible. So let's do a quick comparison here. You can press Shift S to drop a snapshot of your character. So I'm going to Control N again. Let's have this one right around there. I'm gonna like land the feet on the ground, Shift S, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save this as only 005. There we go. We're gonna draw now another one, and let's load 004. Because we still got 005 over here. So now if we take a look, you can see that the stylization definitely changed. It might be slightly, right? Like it might be a slight sort of like change that we have right here, but it definitely looks a little bit more cartoon, a little bit more exaggerated in certain areas. And this is the kind of stuff that you gotta do frequently. Now, this is not the only way in which you can compare. Let me show you another one. I'm gonna open Krita real quick. Let's Control N again. Let's select the 5. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, again, take a snapshot here with my snipping tool, and I'm gonna copy this character right here. This is another like exercise that I did very like frequently when I was an artist. Ooh, back in the day. This was like in 2011. Imagine, that's quite a long time ago. So Control T. Let's make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So we're gonna have this one right here, and then we're gonna copy our main concept over here. There we go. And we're going to scale it so that they have like roughly the same size. So here's where we're going to start noticing certain things, certain elements in our character. So face-wise, on the size of the face, I still think our head is a little bit too big. So we might want to make the whole body a little bit bigger. But then another thing that I'm seeing is that we're going a little bit too bulky to the sides, and he looks very slender, very tall, right? So going back to ZBrush, again, grabbing the body, I'm gonna move this thing, the pivot point, to the center right here. I'm gonna like make it a little bit slender. See how I just scaled this up a little bit? It shouldn't distort your proportions too much. Yes, it's gonna make things look a little bit weird, but it shouldn't make it that much of a difference. And I'm of course gonna make the whole body a little bit bigger. Again, I'm gonna push this down so that we have enough of a neck on the character. Maybe that's a little bit too much, something like that. And we can compare. So we take a look at the concept piece again. Oh, let's bring Pure Ref over here, and we compare. That looks a lot closer. Like if we show the whole character right there, that looks a little closer proportion-wise. I feel like the arms are still really, really, really bulky, but we're kind of like seeing like a side view of the arms. So what I'm gonna do here is I am gonna bulk them up, but I don't want to bulk them up like in this way. It's gonna look really weird. So I'm gonna like grab my tricep right here and like really, really, really inflate the tricep quite a bit. Same for the bicep on the side view, so that when we see the side view of the character, which is like this roughly, we're gonna see something that looks a little bit more intense. Again, this is already going into like a very stylized realm. I've seen this in games like, again, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, things like that. And some there are some games that are even more stylized. So be careful whenever you're working with super like crazy stuff like this guy right here, because it's not like realistic anatomy, right? Like it's again, it's like stylized cartoon anatomy. So there we go. Again, we try to compare the sizes, and as long as we're close to the same size, that means that we're in a good position. I feel like my clavicles, this one right here, is a little bit low, so I'm gonna push it a little bit higher. There we go. I can definitely see the chest like opening up a little bit more. Especially when we see this, you can see how much volume we got there. It's just ridiculous. Like this character is just ridiculous. It's amazing. I love this character. There we go. So just little tweaks here and there. And again, if you have someone who can help you out, hearing and learning how to hear feedback is really, really important. So make sure to ask your friends, like, hey, how do you see this guy? Am I close? Am I not close? And believe me, even if people are not artists, they're really good at pinpointing when things look wrong or off. So it's very, 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 again, very, very important that you do use that tool, because there is a sort of like an ego factor for us artists where we think that we like got all of the answers and are always right. It's kind of like an artist thing, but we need to break away from that, especially if we're going to be working on a production. Because in productions, it's a team effort, right? So if the whole team is on the same page, we're going to be able to do amazing things. If we're not, things just don't move forward, okay? So yeah, that's pretty much it, my friends. As you can see, this is our stylization pass. Let me save this real quick and show you the comparison. And we have here again, Shift S to drop a copy here on the canvas. And we can compare this to our Oni 00, it's that one, which is number 4. So you can see it definitely changes. Like I'm having both of them right here. This guy looks taller, he looks bigger, his arms look more stylized, his chest looks like more puffed up, and it was just a small little tweaks here and there. So make sure to adjust yours. You might need to adjust it more or less depending how close you were to the original concept, but make sure to get it as close as possible, because in the next one we're going to be working on hands and feet, and after that we're going to be ready to start jumping onto some other parts of the character, such as the cloth. So yeah, hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one.